I mean, it was bizarre because I could feel the coldness under my feet. I could, because I was, but then the first thing I did, it's like, wait a minute, I'm out of my body. Like, I can fly. And I
Mm.
lifted up into the air and I was like, I'm flying. Like, this is crazy. And she just kept going. So the room was really.
Hello, everyone. I have Tanit with me. She's been working with the method for a week now, and she's going to share two experiences that she had, which I'm excited to hear it. So, welcome, Tanit.
Yeah. Hi. Well, I just want to also say, when my 20s, I experienced sleep paralysis for the first time. I was going through something really difficult in my life, and I had no idea what it was. I had no one to talk to about it. But I remember sitting up in bed afterwards, and I heard my name.
Mm.
And in South, because I'm in LA right now, but in South Africa, our houses are made out of concrete and brick, so there's no echoing. It's like a solid place. So I'm like, well, who just called? I had no idea. I had no idea. I didn't know who to speak to about it. But and then they said Merkaba, and I don't know if you've ever heard that word. But my dad's all his nurseism studies, and that word comes up a lot. But it was a man's voice who said Tanit, and it said that word to me. So that was the first time I ever experienced that, and then never again. And then I came across what you were doing, because I study hypnotherapy and I'm fascinated with the subconscious mind. But what I was told while I was studying and going into hypnosis, that I'm one of those rare cases that travels. I just go somewhere else. And I saw some stuff that, you can't really explain. It's like, well, am I making it up or did I actually go somewhere? But I saw my own conception and like, this is what I wanted to ask you about as well. Because you said when you enter the realm, you go through water.
Mm.
And I saw in hypnosis going through water, vast water, and I touched like this golden orb, and then I flew up, and the next thing I'm inside my mother's womb. So I don't know if that was the soul coming from the outside entering the construct. Anyway, so I had that experience,
Yeah,
but
yeah. That's the entering through water. So you enter through water into, yeah.
yeah,
So
but
yes, in short.
that was through hypnosis. And then I found you, and I was watching all your videos, and then I decided to try it one weekend. Now I have a daughter, so my biggest concern was, am I going to come back? Like, what if I don't come back? And that weekend, she was with her dad, and I was just like, well, now's a good time because if anything happens to me, at least he has her. So it was the first time I tried it. I had sort of, I was watching her stuff for a week, but I hadn't tried it yet. And the first night that I tried it, it worked, but it took me 3 times. But you've done such a great job at explaining it that I was like, okay. So I was watching it, and my body started getting really heavy. Like, it was sinking in the bed, and I started getting tingles everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I heard what sounded like my cupboard door slamming or like a loud sound. And I heard gurgled sounds. And I turned, and I think because of the shock of thinking someone was in bed with me, it made me sit up. So I didn't really even do the rollout. I just sat up and I
Mm.
looked, and it was something or someone grabbed a water bottle. And my first thought was like, did someone come into my house? Like, who's in the bed with me? And I sat up, and this being sat up next to me. But it was very weird because it had like a paper. It was almost like a kid's drawing of Obama's face. It was very weird. And then it transformed into this beautiful woman, very slender, with hairstyle like mine, but gray. And I just got up out the bed. She got up, and the staircase down here, we walked through the door because it wasn't open, and we came down the stairs, and I came out this door, and I mean, it was bizarre because I could feel the coldness under my feet. I could, because I was, but then the first thing I did, it's like, wait a minute, I'm out of my body. Like, I can fly. And I lifted up into the air, and I was like, I'm flying. Like, this is crazy. And she just kept going. So the room was really, it reminded me of something like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Very colorful, big, kind of like, I wasn't really paying attention because I was more interested in getting off the ground.
Mm.
But I followed her, and she walked down this a lot of pathways, and then there was a like a brick sort of I don't know if it was a hole or an entrance to something, but she removed something metal out of it, and she went down this tube. And I remember looking in and going, this is not good. But then I thought, you know what, just trust. And I got in, I floated down, and then I was in this place where there's a lot of snow, and there were lots of people, but it were pathways and snow, and it almost looked like lawns, but it was covered in snow. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that before, when, you know, and I followed her, and she said to me, we need to go speak to, and I couldn't hear, but it felt like a woman, and she says, we have to start from the beginning. And I was, again, just really fascinated with the fact that I could levitate, but there were trees, and it was just a lot of people. And I bumped into a very tall man, and the next thing I was in my body. And I sat up, and I was like, but it felt real. It felt, I don't know, it wasn't a dream, because there was a difference between knowing that you've had a dream and you wake up and it's kind of groggy. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, anyway, I called my dad. I'm like, I just did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This is this is the thing. Once you experience it, you all the sensations stay the same. Even your thought process, like you'll come out and you will be thinking the same. Like, wait a second, who's there? And you're not even realizing you're out until you get the confirmation that you're out. It's just like that. Start from the beginning. Um, that's yeah, that's an entity being um showing you don't necessarily could be the beginning of some sort of experience that you've had that accumulated to present date, showing you past life. Um, yeah, it's just something that you have to, once you do it again, you have to go revisit back to that place. Like, you have the signature, so you understand the feeling of it. So once you come out again, try to start speaking or asking, or I just say commanding, to go back to where you just were, and try to see
So
what that actually was for you.
So what would you do? Just mentally project yourself into where you were, or
Yeah,
call on
so
the.
so once you, as soon as you come out again, okay. So whatever way you come up, you sit up. As soon as you realize that you're out, just think back to that place that you were, and just say, I command to go back to what, you don't even have to say the name, just I command to go back to where I was. And
Okay.
two things are going to happen. One, the beings are going to present themselves to you, take you there, or you're just going to go straight there, and then you're going to be in that space again. Um, but yeah, first thing off, intuition. That's just coming to me. Intuition is
Yeah.
it's showing you some sort of past that happened.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
let's go back to the
Okay.
beginning. That's what's.
And I
Yeah.
yeah, I felt like, not that I was being disrespectful, but I was so amazed that I was out and that I could fly. And I was more interested in the fact that I was levitating than actually paying attention to her.
Mm.
Um, and then the second time I tried, which was probably about 2 or 3 days afterwards. No, I think it was a day afterwards. It was the next day. No, yeah, because my daughter came back. I didn't leave the house, but I got out of, like, I was on the floor. I got out, and the floor was cold. I just remember feeling the coolness of the floor, and I walked through my door. And as I was coming down the stairs, I remember you saying, don't be too close to the body because you might be
You
pulled
could.
back in. But
Mm.
outside, and I have a wooden sliding door that you can't see through, but I could see through it, and I saw my body lying in the bed. I'm like, oh wow. And I just kept going. And I walked downstairs. I was inside this house. I went into the dining room area, and I just remember just the coolness. I was like, wow, like, I'm not cold, but I can feel the coolness under my feet. And then I went into my daughter's room and I saw her lying in her bed, but her leg was out. And I was just standing there looking at her. And the next thing I was back in the body and I sat up and I was like, I need to go and see if she's exactly lying exactly like I saw her. And I went downstairs and she was in her bed, but her leg wasn't out of the duvet. It was inside. And I was like, then you said to me that there might be distortions, that it
Mm.
might not look exactly the same. Um, and then Darius, I was so burnt out for probably 10 days after that. I wasn't myself. I was exhausted.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you because I know you eat a certain way. I'm vegan. I eat
Mm.
mainly um, but it
Hold
took
on.
me a
Let me just go back. So you did this. So your first one you did, you popped out first time. Then how long again from you doing
probably
the set?
a day or two after, like
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah. See that's why you're burnt out. Remember, and like the method stuff, like you don't want to.
Yeah.
If you're like you seem very it's to do it that quickly, but if you do them back to back, that's why I said the frying
No,
out effect.
I was
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was just like, this is, I mean, my whole life, I've been taught by a man. You know, my dad is very spiritual and he spoke about everything that you are speaking about before I even heard about you. And your work and what you do is confirm so much of what my dad has been telling me. So I was just excited to get out and I want to do it again. But then I haven't tried since because I was like nervous that
Yeah.
I would be burn out again. So now I feel like myself again, and I'm gonna. So what do you recommend I do? Like every how many days should I wait
Yeah,
before I?
so yeah, so just go back in the method stuff because it's all I think it's in the workshop. Uh, it's in workshop 2, but it all depends on you. But you need to find, I find when I'm, all right, for instance, if I'm accessing detailed information, like for instance, let's just say if I was you back in the first experience, going back to the beginning that being was telling me, I'd be like, okay, I want to figure out what this is. But knowing what I know now, I would just wait 7 days, do it again. And then for a month, like I would be, this is why he just so you don't get that frying out effect. And if I was really motivated, I would just do it every single day back to back, but knowing that take about 2 weeks off or something like that because I'm gonna feel drained afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah, and
Yeah.
I have a kid, so I've got to I've, yeah, I have to have myself. Yeah, so okay, well, I'm gonna try it tonight.
Okay.
But I was on your workshop yesterday and you said some really profound things. And I just have one question and I haven't heard anyone else. Actually, you answered my question. This is to do with people that are doing really bad things here. And are there any repercussions leaving the construct for those people or souls? And you said something really profound that sat with me as a parent, your child, you'll always love your child.
Mm.
So I'm like, so can you just be doing bad things and nothing is going to come of that in this construct? Like, I mean, what is the purpose of us being here? To have an experience, but this is this is like wild because in every religion they talk about, the good versus evil. Why are we here? To do whatever we want? Does it really matter?
Yeah, it matters. Yeah, it matters what you do here. Okay. Don't take what I said. It takes a it takes a seeing it for yourself instead of being told. So, like in the workshop yesterday, I was talking about you asked me it was you that asked me the question. I said when you ask this question to yourself, you can't have unconditional love for the judgment. And then if you just sit with that, it's literally that. That's the unbreakable truths of things. Everything's in a state of unconditional love. And then you go back to a mother and a father. You have two kids. All right. Kid A is, you could say, totally loving. Kid B, off course. You still love both unconditionally. Not necessarily that you agree with it, but you still love them unconditionally. The unforgivable sin is a sin that you cannot forgive yourself for. So no being is necessarily condemned or judged, but what that being is the judger of itself. Okay. So this is where you go into the being has regret of actions. It feels it. I'll just
When
leave it at that.
Well, I think what you're doing is really profound, and intuitively, I was drawn to your work and starting in hypnosis, and now just really, I don't know if other people feel the same way. I've heard some other people that you've interviewed speak about this, but there is no greater thing right now than to be able to do this and to wake up. Um, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.